Here we are setting up for one of our clients' videos, but we just want to talk about lighting. Really what we've learned is backlighting will make anybody look beautiful. So we got 3 construction lights that we rented for like $35 a day each, which is a lot less than, you know, like an RE light for like $300 a day or whatever it would be. And we just got some black drape that we had built that little wood piece. You can see it right here. That way when we're panning back and forth, we don't see these big, ugly, yellow construction stands. And that's it. When you see the footage, oh my gosh, it just looks beautiful. We've got our dolly going back and forth. We've got the Ronin going. We're gonna be putting some GoPros on people's heads. We're gonna have a drone flying up in the air. So kind of the idea was, how can we maximize the lighting so wherever you look, the footage looks awesome? And so that was kind of the idea of putting this extreme backlight, turning off the house lights except for one little light over in the corner for a slight fill. We expose to your normal, 40% IRE, and then we'll actually pull it down in post-production and kind of really get those deep blacks. So you're just basically getting a small amount of illumination from those big lights and just gonna have this really contrast look to it. And you don't have to spend $20,000 on lights when you just know the principles. And the biggest principle for us, backlighting. Love backlighting. Drew, what'd you think of the shoot and the lighting?
I thought it was great. Big lights, stadium lighting, green field, shadows, soccer players, big walls, little balls. It was wonderful. Great shoot. Felt great about it.
Can you tell me a bit about what you're going to do in color correction?
What I do is I play with the knobs until it looks good.
Okay, I'm heading down to a park to finish some filming for the last shots of the Ultimate Foos project that we had kind of previously started talking about lighting on. Really just kind of want to share the principle that has helped. Really what we've found is lighting is not about the light, it's about the shadows. And so finding ways to create separation using the shadows, and a big part of that has been backlighting. Trying to find ways to always use the backlight to your advantage. You watch a Hollywood movie and you see that almost everybody has the sun behind them, even if it doesn't logically make sense. You show one person, you do the reverse shot and the sun's behind them too, or the sun's behind everybody. And it's just something that makes things look beautiful. Okay, I realized I wasn't recording that whole time. So we're here getting ready for the Ultimate Foos shoot. And yeah, just kind of continuing the principle of having the major light source behind us to create a little bit of rim light. Obviously, it's not just like, we're not trying to cover the sun up with their head. That's a little bit too dramatic of a hero shot, but it's really just having the main light source behind them and making sure that we're creating separation that way. I mean, obviously, as I'm filming this way, I'm white, everything else behind me is white. It's a lot of brightness, versus if I turn around, you get a bit more of a shadow on me and a bit more blown out in the background, which then can draw attention towards either the shadow or the blown out. It's kind of either one. Okay, here we are setting up some lighting for a music video that we're going to be doing with Levi, our composer. So I thought I'd show you guys a little bit of how we do lighting for that, to continue the lighting, at least what we've learned about lighting. As you can see, I'm in my bathrobe because my laundry is still drying. Okay, so we got our 2 cameras set up. Set up the cameras first in the position that you want. That way you can make sure the lighting works for your setup. So then all we're gonna do for this, because it's kind of a dramatic thing, most music stuff is, we want Levi to be very heavily in shadows. We're gonna do what I call backlighting. I just kind of learned that it's actually called upstage lighting. I probably will have to start using upstage lighting because that's the actual term. You can see there's our person. Put a light right here, which will shoot across his face and kind of light just a little bit of his eye, but leave this side in the shadow, the side towards the camera in the shadow. We're gonna put the other light here, which will probably color a lot different, either like throw a gel on there or just change the color temperature. That way it's gonna be kind of more of an orangish red, kind of lighting the back of his head just for a little bit of texture. And that's it. We just do those 2 lights and it should look really good. We use the Felix lights. They're awesome, relatively inexpensive, and they punch out a bunch of lights. Throw on barn doors and accessories pretty simply, so I like them. So usually, as we kind of talked about in the other time, I don't like to shoot the light directly onto the subject for like interviews and a lot of the movie scenes and things like that. But when it comes to trying to get harsh lighting, that's usually the best way. So for like concerts and a few of the scenes, you know, some of the more intense scenes in the movies, I like to shoot light just straight onto them. So in this case, we're going to shoot it right onto the subject so that you get kind of a harsh shadow on them. So we'll have to adjust it a bit when Levi gets here to make sure it's a little bit more down exactly on his face.
You ready?
Yeah.
Child heart, saddle up. This is where the road gets tough. Hope looks shy here again. These sterile walls are marking fair he ends. Washing hands, walking in, and pity stares at broken skin. Wipe your mouth, little dove. There's someone here who needs your love.
Okay, we're off again to do another client project, and I thought I would bring you along to talk about lighting. This one is a different client, just simple interview setup. The client, because of certain deadlines, we weren't able to scout the location, which I'm not a huge fan of. I love scouting locations and knowing, you know, where we can put camera, where the best light is, what time of day, and stuff like that. So this will be kind of interesting because it'll be figuring out what lighting will work for the client without even knowing what the, you know, location is. I hope we have a window because windows always make things look pretty, but we may not. So then we'll have to figure it out through alternative methods.
Yeah. So yeah, that example you sent me of the two-person interview, I ended up watching a couple of his videos.
Oh yeah.
Your military guy. What is he trying to do? Is he just trying to?
They just basically what he realized going through PTSD was that he felt like a psycho, basically. And he realized that as he talked to more and more people who were going through the same stuff, he realized all that he was going through was common. And so he wanted to do the same thing for other veterans and basically just interview veterans who've gone through similar things and just kind of get their stories. It's really just conversations of people being like, hey, this is what I went through, this is what helped me, this is what didn't help me, and just kind of creating a database of people who, you know, have gone through similar things. So that's the goal. We had to take a little break from it because we got swamped with a whole bunch of other stuff and trying to perfect the delivery line for him. And what we're actually working on right now is having him edit instead of myself editing, to where I can film it for him and that doesn't take much time, but the editing takes just enough time to where it made it difficult with the weekly vlog that we're doing and the movie and client projects and all kinds of stuff like that. Could you sit in this chair right there? Yeah, and we'll just stick a reflector on them. The only thing is, can we get her to be at the same angle? Okay, we got it set up. We ended up changing the lighting setup just a bit because we realized that the sun was going to destroy our Talon's eyes. And that's not too much fun for an interview. So we ended up faking the sun through a reflector. That way we can artificially light the front of their face as if it was ambient light, an artificial backlight because we didn't have enough coming through that post, and then actual backlight from the actual sun. All in all, it ends up looking really cool. Okay, so the lighting worked out on that project pretty well. The issue that we had was the interview got started just a little later than expected. And so the sun had drifted just a little bit off to one side, not allowing us to get full backlighting on one of the other individuals in the interview. But kind of two things that I've learned from doing commercial projects is it was good enough. It looks fine. They thought it looked beautiful. wasn't perfect to how I would want it for a film, but it's not a film, right? It's an interview. We like doing the commercial projects. Yeah, it helps with financials, but it helps us keep kind of figuring out how to perfect our craft in terms of lighting and things like that. And so sometimes we just kind of let those things slide in. We can correct the exposure in post-production because we're shooting S-Log and we have a little bit more latency in terms of what we can do with our darts there. So yeah, so not concerned about it. You know, learned a little lesson kind of for myself of how I would probably want to do it for the next time we do it. But again, for this time, it looked great to them. They loved it. They were excited and felt like they got a good product, which is what matters in the end. So yeah, pretty successful.
What's up? If you like what you saw, feel free to leave a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you like to do for lighting, for inexpensive and effective techniques. And I'm gonna go back to my nap.